What is up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, as you can see by the title, we are going to be doing a little bit of a foundation review. Today we're going to be testing out the Morphe Fluidity foundation as well as the concealer. Now there's been quite a lot of controversy in the beauty community about this little launch. There's definitely a lot of people who are really loving it and there's people who are really hating it. There's not really an in-between. There's been quite a few beauty bloggers who have been slammed for liking this, especially when they have an affiliate code with the brand Morphe. You guys know I personally don't have a relationship with Morphe. I'm not on their PR list. I don't have an affiliate code with them. So literally everything in this video is not influenced by anything like that. I just thought it'd be fun to test this out and see if I like it because there's been such a divide in the beauty community about these. If you guys are new to my channel and have never seen my face before, make sure you guys subscribe, come stick around, come join the dinosaur family. But without further ado, let's get on into the video. Okay, so let's lay down the basics of these two products. So the first thing is, this is called the Morphe Fluidity Full Coverage Foundation. So this definitely is going to be, you know, a full coverage foundation. So if that's not really your thing, maybe click off the video. But I personally like quite full coverage foundations. They work for me, not for every day, but I've heard that this foundation is quite dry. So personally, I have quite a oily skin, I would say, so I feel like maybe I'll like this because of that. So the shades that I got in the foundation is F1.80. I guess this one kind of has like a yellowy olive toned undertone. I actually have no idea if this is gonna match me. I did have a look on the website and because they have 60 shades, it is kind of hard to choose your own shade, especially without having to swatch it. So I'm really hoping this is gonna fit my skin tone. They do have all sorts of different undertones. They've got pink undertones, what's the other ones? Olive, yellow, like literally the whole thing. So I went for kind of more of a yellowy, olivey sort of undertone because my skin tends to be quite olive. And then for the concealer, I got the one in C155. I actually got this a few shades lighter than my actual foundation because I quite like that look of having like a highlighted under eye. So the foundation cost £16, which isn't actually that bad for a foundation, especially when it's kind of like mid-range. I wouldn't say Morphe's high-end, but they're definitely like better than drugstore. And then the concealer was £9, which again is quite good. How much do you get? You get 4.5 mil of product. I feel like that's a substantial amount of concealer in a little product for £9. So I guess they priced it pretty well. So what I'm actually gonna do is apply both of these with two different methods of application. I'm gonna use a beauty blender for one side and then a little flat top brush for the other, just to see how they kind of apply and, you know, which one looks better. So yeah, let's crack on into it. Okay, so I've zoomed you guys in a little bit closer so you can see my skin a bit better, and I'm actually just gonna swatch both of these on my hand just to kind of show you guys what the shades are looking like. I actually just noticed as I pulled both of these products out that this one looks very yellow, so I have no idea if this is gonna match me. However, the concealer is honestly like on another level. It is gray. That's gray, right? I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen a concealer this sort of color. I really have no idea how this is gonna go. Okay, so this is a swatch of the foundation. It definitely looks kind of yellow, but I'm hoping it will oxidize and kind of blend into the skin and it should look fine. And just for comparison of shades, this is the foundation that I use pretty much every day, and it's the Body Shop Fresh Nude Foundation in shade Vanilla Barley, which definitely matches my skin a lot better, as you can see. However, this one is so yellow, and I guess that could be down to, you know, my mistake of choosing the wrong shade, but so far I don't have very high hopes of this shade matching me, so we'll see. And lastly, I'm gonna swatch the concealer because this is definitely terrifying me just a little bit. Okay, that's actually not that bad. It looks a lot more gray in the tub. Now it looks a lot more skin toned and it actually matches my skin pretty well. So, okay, that's kind of promising. Okay, so now to apply this bad boy onto my actual face, I'm gonna use a beauty blender on the right-hand side. I'm gonna use a flat top brush like this from Makeup Revolution on the left-hand side, just to kind of see the comparison of how the product applies with different tools. Okay, we're just gonna go straight in, you guys. I have quite a few blemishes on this side of my face, so I'm really interested to see if this will actually cover them up since it is meant to be a high coverage foundation. Okay, so I'm just taking my wet beauty blender and just blending that into my skin. I actually ended up not using a primer because I really want to see how this foundation performs on like bare skin without being influenced by another product. It's blending out pretty well, although I've heard from some reviews that you have to kind of work really fast because it does dry quite quickly. However, I've got to say I've had this on my skin for a couple of minutes, like taking thumbnails and stuff, and it's still blending out really well. So far, looks pretty good. I mean, we're gonna see how it's gonna start creasing and that kind of stuff. Okay, actually, I take it back. It started to really dry on my forehead right there super quick, so I have to work fast to blend this out now. Okay, so the right side of my face is now covered with a foundation. My first thoughts is that it definitely doesn't really match my other side of the face. However, when you look up at my neck, it actually matches my neck pretty nicely. But I've got to say, when I'm looking at the viewfinder, it definitely looks like it matches my neck pretty well. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not a pro at, you know, matching my foundation. So let me know what you guys think down below. Does it match my neck? It kind of seems like it does. The one thing I definitely noticed first off is that the blemish that I've got on my chin is not covered. I mean, it's definitely a bit better, but it's not like fully covered, which I kind of expected because this foundation is, you know, marketed as a full coverage foundation, so you'd think that it would cover it up. I also see that it hasn't covered my vein right here. I have quite a prominent blue vein on the side of my eye, and most high coverage foundations that I usually try cover that up. So, you know, I'm kind of on the fence about that. Now, let's have a look what it actually looks like in the fine lines. Does it make my pores look big? It's not really settling in my smile line as much as I thought it would. There's definitely a little bit of like caking around here, but it's not too bad. And then on my forehead, it's not looking too bad. And let me just say, my forehead is like the first place to crease because I always move my eyebrows so much. Now, like I said, I do mostly have an oily skin type. However, I do have some dry patches here and there. I usually get quite dry on my chin and also around my nose, and it doesn't seem to be clinging in those areas, which is a good sign, I would say. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply one more layer of that on the areas where I don't feel like it covered it enough, especially around my eye. Okay, so it's definitely covered up my blemish right here, just a tad better the second time around. However, the vein on the side of my head is still quite prominent, so I don't think it covers up like blue sort of pigments, especially that are mostly around the eyes, that well. But it's not the end of the world. We've still got the concealer to try out, so I'm actually gonna use that next and see how that will cover up those blemishes and whatnot. But like I said, I tend to go for concealers that are a little bit lighter than my actual skin tone, which this one seems like it will actually blend into my skin tone quite well. But on the website, it honestly looked so much lighter. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be more of a highlighting concealer, but really, that should be my foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and still use my beauty blender to blend those bad boys out and see how this is gonna blend together, you know? What the hell? Look at that. Look at that difference. Wow, I'm shook. I didn't think the concealer would be that good. Like, it's actually really good. Whoa. I am impressed with that concealer. Like, my eye bag has been erased. My wig has flown to Mexico. And I mean, my under eye does get a little bit dry, so I don't know how my skin would kind of react to it on the aftermath side, but for now, it's looking good. But now I'm gonna try and do the same thing to the other side and blend this out with a brush instead, just to kind of compare the both sides and see how they apply. I've gotta say, with products like this, especially when it comes to quite, you know, controversial brands in the beauty community, I feel like a lot of people jump on the bandwagon of either liking or disliking a product purely for the sake of like fitting in. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with this foundation. You know, people are gonna use it who have dry skin and they're gonna hate it. And it's like, well, obviously it's not gonna work for you if you have dry skin already. And for me, it was kind of a no-brainer because I do have oily skin. So I kind of knew that this product would actually be suitable for my skin. Therefore, I was going to review it. I'm just saying, don't come for me. Okay, so far it's not looking too different in terms of application and how it applies. It actually looks very similar to the other side. There's not really any noticeable differences. Oh wow, I just got that in my hair. Well, that's great. Okay, so I see my first difference between the two applications. It kind of took a little while to notice it, but now that I'm looking up close, I can definitely see that when I applied it with the brush, it clung onto this part of my face a lot more than it did with the beauty blender, and it just looks a lot more dry now on this side. Like I said, I do get quite dry around my nose, so it's kind of really accentuated it on this side. It's not too visible unless you really look up close, but on this side, it's pretty much non-existent. I mean, there's a little bit of dryness, but nowhere near as bad as this side because obviously the beauty blender just kind of blended it out a little bit better, I think. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the concealer to the other eye as well and see how that will blend out with a brush. So I've applied roughly the same amount. I think that should be a fair test, and let's just blend this into the skin again. I'm just gonna kind of pat it in, and also a little bit of buffing motions. Can't really tell too much difference in terms of the concealer. It's blended out quite nicely. I am noticing a little bit of creasing on this side, more so than the other side. I probably would need to set this concealer, and it's already quite dry, so I don't know how that would look. It might just make your under eye look super, super crusty. I think, again, it definitely applied a lot better with the beauty blender on this side than the brush on this side. Maybe I just used the wrong brush. To be fair, I did use the foundation brush to blend it in. It doesn't really feel any different from any other foundation that I wear. I can't really feel like I've got anything on, and actually the coloring looks a lot better now that it's kind of oxidized a little bit on my skin. It really blends into my neck, which is great. So I guess all there's left to do is just to kind of wear it for a couple of hours. I'm literally just gonna do whatever, do some editing, and I'll come back at you guys in a couple of hours and we'll kind of have an inspection and see how it looks after a few hours of wear.
Eventually.
Okay guys, so I am back. It's been a couple of hours. It's gotten really dark outside. However, I do have my studio light, so we're all good. So I actually had a little read of the packaging whilst I was away. And I actually read on the back that it is 24 hours, or so it claims. And also it claims that it's great for all skin types. So I kind of retract my statements from previously. I guess, you know, if a product says that it's great for all skin types on the back of the packaging and on the website, it is kind of, you know, almost daring loads of people to try it out, and, you know, it's kind of claiming that it's going to be fine for people who have dry skin already, which, you know, from all the reviews from people that I've seen already, and personally from, you know, experience as well, I sometimes have dry skin, especially in the winter. I feel like if my skin was super dry, it would not be able to hack this sort of foundation because it is super matte and super dry. So for me personally, I do have quite oily skin for the moment, apart from my nose, which is really dry, which is kind of weird. But anyways, I'm looking up close right now of how the foundation kind of wore for a couple of hours. I've not been doing any exercise or anything, but just kind of sitting around watching TV, doing some editing. I definitely noticed some creasing in my smile lines, especially on this side. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but right there, the foundation is kind of just settled in the line and just is sitting there. And it just really needs a good old blend out, and I'm sure it would be fine. It's actually not creased too badly under my eyes. There's a little bit of creasing naturally from, you know, not setting it. But I definitely expected there to be a lot more creasing for the fact that we didn't even set it with a powder. I've got to say my little friend right here is still covered up pretty nicely, so I'm kind of impressed with that. So yeah, that is my review of the Fluidity Foundation by Morphe. I honestly kind of like it. I can't really say too many bad things about it. I mean, it definitely creases a little bit, but that's the nature of a matte foundation, especially when it's so full coverage. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it helpful in deciding whether you want to spend your hard-earned money on this foundation, because like I said, there's a bit of controversy around this product, and you know, there's so many people who are affiliated with this brand with definitely an agenda to like sell more of that product. Like I said, I'm here just reviewing it for you guys. There is nothing in it for me. I'm not affiliated with them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this unbiased and honest review. But anyways, that is all from me. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like to see more in the future, let me know down below what you would like to see next, and also smash that huge thumbs up below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye! Mwah.